Last week, some terrorists attacked a military base in Birnin Gwari Council of Kaduna State. They engaged troops in gun battle, and by the time they were through, 11 soldiers had been gunned down. 19 other soldiers were said to have been sustained in injuries, and the terrorists also reportedly burnt down 3 armored personnel carriers and carted away with several weapons from the base. It was in the same Kaduna that bandits invaded the Nigerian Defense Academy, killing 2 officers and abducting another last August. Similar attacks have occurred in military bases in Niger State and in various other parts of the country. It is the same story as gunmen of different colorations have made life unbearable for the people. Joining us now to discuss the worsening insecurity in Nigeria and possible solutions is Professor Kemi Rotimi, a professor of history at Obafemi Awolowo University in Ile-Ife. I want to say welcome to the program, sir, and thank you for joining us.
My pleasure being here. Second time in your studio, my third.
And I'm sure as a historian of the police, you have been here since, you know the history since before colonialism, post-colonialism, the First Republic. You've seen a lot. Is this a unique situation that we are in with the insecurity in the country? And what are your thoughts on what is currently happening and how we got here?
Let's start it this way. There's nothing, absolutely nothing extraordinary about these times that we're passing through in Nigeria. We were analysts, and there are so many fly-by-night security experts in Nigeria who profess more nonsense than sense in this whole matter. And I'm talking about that group. Resign, Mr. President. Resign, Minister of Defense. Resign, and then when they get into this buzzword, security architecture. We have been on this security architecture nonsense for how many years now? Insecurity is a general challenge now, worldwide. Many Nigerians do not know that the country that I love so much because of our similar colonial backgrounds and many similarities, India. There's a segment of India that has been under the control of bandits for years, decades. Whoever wants to know Human Rights Watch, you can read the report. Now, Sri Lanka fought for so very many years to tackle the Tamil tigers. Suddenly I met some of them in 2010 because of research and in England, and we interacted. Eventually, the Tamil tigers were defeated. Then for so very many years, there was this thing about always comparing the situation in Nigeria with Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, they talk as if they have no sense of history. For years, the Tamil tigers menaced Sri Lanka. Boko Haram was not even menaced us for that length of time. Eventually, they were defeated. But now, at what cost? Then there was this stray bombing in Sri Lanka about 3 years ago now. Very devastating, because the government thought it was in charge. Then, just what will happen? Then there was that strike. But the cost of putting down the Tamil tigers is not telling on the economy of Sri Lanka. The country is broke, and then riot, protests, and all that. What am I saying? These are challenges, and the challenges are being met, and government is doing the best that it can. We can ask for more. Don't exchange glances. I will explain. We can ask for more.
I'm sorry, we really had to exchange the glances.
Yeah, you exchange the glance because I know you will exchange the glance. It was anticipated. Now, we can ask for more. There was a time, if we get to Kano fighter jets, these 2 Kano fighter jets, some of us are looking and laughing. And then this development of technology. Then they go on security architecture. Then you have all these human beings. Some human being left the army as a captain, security expert. If he was good at his job, why was he thrown out at the level of captain? They have some group captain and all that.
I'm sorry
Yes.
to interrupt you,
Please
but
do.
there seems to be this level of flippancy that I'm seeing in your words.
Yes.
You know, like all the killings, the abductions, like they
Yes.
don't matter. You talk about Sri Lanka, you talked about the fact that they had to, it took them years, you know,
Yes.
to combat the Tamil Tigers.
Yes.
So does that mean we should wait? We should also count the number of years that Boko Haram would deal with Nigerians before we actually act, or we should just continue this way?
And if I may, sir, to buttress her point,
Yes.
you recall 2 weeks ago, Nigeria made history, surpassing Iraq based on jihad analytics as the country with the highest number of attacks by the Islamic State. We have hit rock bottom. I don't think there's any lower we can go in terms of insecurity. And we have a government that is non-responsive, where you have people coming to the media to appeal to them to give some kind of reaction. We also have reports, for instance, that 3 of those that were abducted in the Abuja-Kaduna train situation were killed because the ransom hadn't been paid. We have people who are being buried tomorrow. I think we have hit rock bottom, and I think it's pretty clear that the government is having to be poked to take the...
They are refusing to be
exactly.
poked. That's what it seems like.
Is it my turn to...
Yes,
Oh, yes.
Please, your turn to
It is.
respond.
Now, thank God I'm not in the APC. I'm a classroom teacher, a historian. You talk about flippancy, I won't take offense. I can reply in similar measure what I want. Now, what is flippant? I won't come to your studio and tell you only what you want to hear. No, it doesn't work that way. I buy 2 newspapers every day, Punch and Nation. That's, you do the calculation. In other words, I'm au fait with developments. Not even the preparation for my inaugural lecture, which I delivered on Tuesday. I'll give each one of you a copy. You have already given one a copy. Now, as I leave your studio. Now, I'm conversant with developments, and I'm standing on terra firma as a student of society and a student of current affairs. Now, I'm going to wait until Boko Haram. How much longer are we going to wait? Let us be charitable when we must be. I'm not in government. I'm not a spokesman for government. But I wish people in government will have more educated defenders over some of these things. This thing is cyclical, and I should know. Okay, Boko Haram began the other day from Northeast. If you know the history of Nigeria as much as I do, you'll be amazed at one fact. As at 1966, that part of northern Nigeria happened to be the part that was the most educated, where you had the most educated folks. Now, things then went the way they went, long years of military rule, all things bright and beautiful, Nigerian soldiers ruined them all. Now, but where we are today, for instance, the police, I'm a historian of the police. What was wisdom in 1966, abolition of the any police, is the foolishness of 2022. We're not going to wait for as long as they did in Sri Lanka. I am saying, and no apologies, that the government is trying its best. And I talked about Tucano, now that they forced me to elaborate. When we didn't have Tucano, we said, oh, if we had Tucano, then everything will be solved. Tucano came. And then even with Tucano, things have changed. But have you noticed that Borno is getting a shade quieter than it used to be? But in the place of quieter Borno, you now have rough Niger State. You now have problematic Kaduna. But let's just thank God for many mercies. I'm not a regular church goer, so when I invoke God, it's not so.
No problem. Sorry, I have to interrupt just for the sake of time.
Yes.
You know, we only have so much time.
Nobody brings you to any studio for less than 1 hour. This was accidental. Yes.
Okay.
Go on.
Being a student of history,
Yes.
as you are, knowing that you know the history of our country
Yes.
and the police and the intricacies of everything that has gone on, the issue of state police comes up all the time. How can we get state police? The president doesn't want state police. It's a back and forth banter. But we had state police in historical times, I'm guessing in the First Republic, even in colonial times. There have always been some sort of state police. I'm just wondering what informed the collapsing of those kinds of systems into making one big general federal police system.
I'm in town till Sunday morning. We have Thursday, we have Friday. Can I make a plea? Can we reschedule? Because the question you have asked me, this is what I've done for 1 hour, 3 rounds with a serious stopper, one-on-one. But I'll be charitable. You have asked the question, I will answer within the time that is limited, the limited time. State police that they're agitating for now, or community policing, rubbish. Before Abraham, Jesus was. Many Nigerians talk about policing. Anyway, thank God for many mercies. I have my inaugural lecture. You read the details. Before colonial rule, centralized state systems in Nigeria, not that where you have the king, the chiefs, and the palace officials. Centralized state system had officials within the palaces doing police work. And when colonial rule came, it was actually the adaptation of pre-colonial policing arrangements in the emirates of northern Nigeria and the kingdoms of the west northern region that transformed into what became Native Authority Police. The details are in my book, excerpted a bit in my inaugural lecture. Now, but because of the noise about the eastern region did not have local government police or Native Authority Police. Why? Because of the difficulty the colonialists had in identifying authority structure.
Right.
That was why I had the phenomenon of warrant chiefs. Warrant chiefs simply means that chiefs were created for the Igbo. And look at the way they turned it around. Now you have chief of money, here's Igbo. That tells you about the abnormality of chiefdomship in that part of the country. Now, state police, because of the noise that attended the misuse by politicians of the native authorities to local and police in the northern and western regions, they were abolished by the government. Incidentally, a report that took me 25 years to get, called the Gobi Report, that's a committee set up by Ironsi on the merger of the NA police with the Nigeria Police Force. But before they could even start their work, Ironsi had been killed. Then it was Gowan that collected the report. Now, native authorities were abolished because of alleged misuse by politicians. But what have we had since the Second Republic?
Alleged misuse.
With the MPF. Look, anybody who is in power and misuses the police is an idiot. A fool, compound fool. You know why? The police owe loyalty to incumbent governments. When you have authority over them and you misuse them against your opponent, you have only one prayer to say: to die in office. If you do not die in office, what you use the police to do to your opponent,
they will do to you.
Your successor will use the police to do to you. Don't go far. Go to Edo State, Oshiomhole, and then his successor. And don't go far. Between his current successor and elements within the PDP now. And then Wike, anyway. 1 hour.
Off your mic. No, I'm just...
Okay. Professor,
So, what is the solution?
Exactly.
Briefly,
To
very
what?
briefly,
Solution
to
to
this
what?
insecurity that we're
The
experiencing.
insecurity is being addressed. Democracy, you don't get quick fixes in democracies. You know why? There are too many layers of consultation that you must engage in, even as president. And many Nigerians just make me feel unhappy because they're worried about President Buhari's style. Styles by individuals, we have to differ. We had a president called Obasanjo. If we was going to fight you tomorrow, we're going to fight you tomorrow at Eagle Square. You come with your gun, I'll come with my cordial. The man will fight you. President Buhari would not like you to tell you that kind of a thing, but he may still fight you tomorrow. The solution is already here. And how? The Tucano thing is working. But they have realized some challenge now, you can't really use it at night. Then when the rains approach, insurgency peaks because the forests have regrown. The dryness that will enable you to see people, there's cover again. Niger State, until this insurgency came, if there's anything about insurgency and northern Nigeria, Nigerians now know that northern Nigeria is not all about Sahara Desert. It has forests. Yes, and that's what they have this challenge. Because of the dominance of Islam, if you kill 200 today, I like you to bury them. If they are killed in the morning, they'll be buried in the evening. You go and kill 10 in Benin, or 10 will collect the corpses. Put put them in the mortuary,
Professor Kemi.
put them on a tray, and then later celebrate the mass and all that.
Professor Kemi Rotimi,
Yes.
it's really so sad. This is a very interesting discussion.
I'll be back.
I hope that our producers
Tell them
did bring you back.
tomorrow or Friday or any day.
All
But
right.
I'm not coming if it is not up to 1 hour.
Okay.
It's a deal or no deal.
Well, we'll get back to you
So
on
this
that.
flippancy can
Professor
just go.
Kemi Rotimi, Professor of History at the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ife. Thank you so much for joining us on Newsday.